Okay. Thank you very much for having us here. Thanks a lot to the organizers, to the organizing committee in this great location here. It's a pleasure. And thank you also for the flexibility to change the order. Unfortunately, we'll have to catch a flight quite early today, so it's really great that we can present now. We are going to split the presentation a bit. I just set the scene, and then Antonia is going to present some results of a project, and we are going to publish the respective paper only early next year. Just to give you the background of who we are and why we are doing such projects. So we are from the European Investment Fund, from the research team, and the European Investment Fund has the objective to enhance access to finance for SMEs, to support smart, sustainable and inclusive growth for SMEs. And we are doing this with various types of financial instruments. I'll come back to this in a second. And we are active all over Europe in the EU 28 countries, soon 27 perhaps, in the EFTA countries, candidate countries and potential candidate countries. We are part of the EIB group, so the EIB is our main shareholder with 58.7%, but we have as well the European Commission as shareholder, representing the European Union in our shareholdership, and we have a group of public and private financial intermediaries as shareholders. So we are a kind of public-private partnership, so a bit of a strange animal. But as I said, we are entirely focused on the support of SMEs, and it's important to see how we act. So we are working with many different types of resources, with our own resources from our parent company, the EIB, resources from the European Commission, from member states, from regions, so all types of different resources. Also, we are quite active here in Italy, and at the front desk we left a few brochures that describe what we are doing in Italy. But we do not finance companies directly. We do it indirectly via banks, via guarantee institutions, via venture capital funds, business angels, and the like. So it's an indirect business model that is important to see. And maybe we go one slide back. In our business activity, you can see an enormous growth over the past years, and the main driver for that was what we call EFSI, the European Fund for Strategic Investments, sometimes also called the Juncker Plan, and we implemented the SME part of that Juncker Plan. So the activity basically tripled over the past years. And on the next slide, you can see that we are using plenty of different instruments, starting from the very early, very young SME with technology transfer, then going through the whole life cycle of the SME with different instruments, business angel financing, microcredits, the whole range of venture capital financing, guarantees, debt and securitization products. And you might think that in a conference like today, we would talk about microcredit or impact investing, which are very specific products in our product offering. But that's not going to be the case. But we are going to look at these instruments that you see here. So we are looking at private equity, venture capital, and at the business angel financing. And why that? The reason for this is the aspects of ESG, sustainable development, SDG. They are gaining importance, and not only in niche areas, but impact is really going mainstream in all areas of SME financing. And we just heard it from Mr. Sabatini, how ESG is gaining importance in banking, but it's everywhere in the financial area. It's in banking, we see it even in structured finance, that the rating agencies are using ESG and the like. And we see it in particular as well in the area of venture capital and private equity. And it's also very important for us, but we need to know more about ESG and the use of ESG. We know what we do, but we need to know more about what our counterparts do, so what the venture capital funds do, what the business angels do. And therefore, we started to use in our surveys, where we screen the markets, as well elements of ESG and impact investing. We ran a first survey in 2018, a second one in 2019. 2020 is in preparation. There we even go beyond than venture capital, where we screen then also what we call the lower mid-market. So we are going to have a look at the entire equity space. And in the venture capital survey, we had different pillars in our questionnaire. We looked at the market sentiment, at policy recommendations, the socio-economic characteristics of the VC fund managers. We looked at specific product and mandate development questions, but we also looked at ESG and impact investing. As I said, this is quite important for us to get more information. And the sample, you can see it here. It's by now one of the largest surveys on venture capital in the world, if not the largest one, at least the largest one in Europe. We had a high response rate, and we are covering the whole European GP's general partner population. And the responses came mainly from senior people of the various firms, and it was an anonymized survey because we really wanted to get honest answers. And you can see that in Europe we got 774 replies. That's for a venture capital survey, a very high number, and we covered with this 538 VC firms, so a very good response rate. We tried to go global, but that was less successful, so we received very low response rates in the other parts of the world, driven by the fact that we as an institution are not really known in these parts of the world. So also the analysis is going to focus on Europe, and in the next survey waves we are also going to skip the outside Europe parts. For the business angel survey, we looked as well at many pillars, including ESG investing, but here the approach was slightly different. We looked here not at the whole population of business angels in the European market, because the market is very opaque and there is not much information about the whole population. So we looked in the first step only at business angels that got support from us via the so-called European Angels Fund. And the European Angels Fund is a relatively new product that we implement, and the fund has different compartments, and these are national compartments. And that's why the answers are very much focused on individual countries. And of course, the number of responses is much smaller here. I hope that in the next survey waves, Italy is going to be blue as well, because we are launching a compartment of the European Angels Fund in Italy as well. The response rate was pretty high, with 65%, not a surprise because they all got money from us, but it was an anonymized approach as well. Again, here we wanted to get the honest answers from the participants. So, and now I hand over to Antonia, who is going to give the detailed results of the survey. Thank you.